What up, everybody? Welcome back to another vlog. Welcome back to another video. I don't know why this is the time I need to be turning on the camera. I don't know what this is the subject that made me turn on the camera. I've wanted to turn on the camera for a while. I've wanted my setting to be set up before I do it, and I'm not battling, running around my room trying to find lighting. As you see, I have clear lighting, and I have it because I have lighting up there. It's a new circle light. But this subject, I'm going to start it off. First off, how's everybody doing? I know it's been a long time since I've made a video. I know probably a lot of you have faded off from my channel. You'll probably see a new one pop up, and hopefully that you click on it. It's been a while. I know it's been a long time, but I mean, I've had, and as you see many videos, that I always have my fallbacks. I always fall off. But behind the scenes is a totally different story. I'm going to tell you that this happens. I'm going to tell you that. One sec. But it's not like I'm doing nothing behind the scenes. It takes steps to, get back out of your bad holes that you dug yourself in, and trying to dig yourself out of them is not the easiest. And I know I'm the one to talk about that that kind of struggle. Yeah, so like, I hope everything's going well. I'm here. I'm still alive. I got everything I need now. I have all my studio stuff. I'm on a tripod right now for my camera. That's where that is. I have my lighting up there, which will behind this stuff will be my other setup. So I got my mic set in the closet. I got all my soundproofing foam that will be set up on this wall that you see beside me. That's all roughed up. It's been like that for a while. Actually, this wall is more rough because the cats, that's another story. The cats tore it up, and I didn't give a shit because I was going to put my studio stuff here anyways, which now I have. Now I can cover this side up. So sorry for the ghetto look, but I really don't give a shit. I shouldn't even have to say that. See, that's what we have troubles in life, where people think, knowing what, like, how we live. Oh man, it's so stupid. So yeah, so hello. So the subject that I'm not going to continue the subject all day. It's just something that I saw today. This is to do with the pandemic thing that's going around, and all that fun BS. So I was just at Metro, and I was at the grocery store. Again, I don't know why this is the thing that, this isn't what triggered me. Well, I guess it did trigger me to turn on the camera, and I'm glad it pushed me to turn on the camera. But I was at Metro, and I know that we have to wait up in a lineup to get inside. I know the rules and that we have to follow, blah, 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 blah. One thing I didn't know, so I was standing in line, and I was just about to go in, and all of a sudden this lady walks up. She had like something on, she had a tag on, but she was in regular clothes. And she walked right up to the doors. I'm thinking in my head, what is she doing? She looked in the door, and the girl's like, yeah, you can come on in. And I was like, curious. I'm like, okay, well, she must be inspector. She must be, but she's in regular clothes. Like, she's in a dress, in regular clothes, all dolled up, makeup on. She's in regular clothes. Mind you, keep that in mind. So I'm like, I'm not going to say anything. Okay, I'm going to ask. I was like, I'm going to ask what the deal was, because I'm curious. I'm not just going to be like, oh yeah, well, that's why she did it. She thinks blah, 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 blah. No, I'm just curious, so I want to know why, regardless of what my reaction is, and what her reaction is. So I saw her in the store, and I walked up to her, and I was like, "Oh, you work here?" She's like, "No," pulls up her tag and says, "No, I'm a PSW." Now, mind you, again, she's in regular clothes, and I'm not saying that it's fake. What I'm trying to get at is, there's rules, right? And I know that she's a PSW, nurse worker, whatever, something PSW. That's what she says. That's what the tag says. But she's in regular clothes, and I understand that it's a right. You have the right. You don't use it as a privilege. So if you're working, yes, you're a PSW, and again, please don't take this as that I'm putting you guys down for the work that you guys do, because I know many people that are PSWs, but I've never seen them out outside their outfits with their tag on, ever. I've never seen it personally. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. But again, these rights, yes, you are in this industry and what's going on with the pandemic and stuff, so I respect that you're doing this work or whatever, but using it as a privilege, as in, oh, I'm at home, oh, I'm a PSW, so I'm going grocery shopping, so I don't want to stand in line, so I'll just put on my tag and I'll be able to walk right in because I'm a PSW. If she's a PSW, and I do believe it, and I do see that, but she can prove it, and that's why she was so proud of it. Like, put her tag right up. I'm a PSW. She had no idea what I was asking. All I did was walk up. That was my whole point, to ask that way, just to see what her reaction was. And I was like, "Oh, do you work?" I was like, "Do you work here?" She's like, "No, I'm a PSW." I was like, "I wasn't asking you what your profession was, and like in general, I wasn't asking any of that. I was asking if you work here." And then, knowing that she knew in her head that she had the privilege to be like, "I'm a PSW, so I'm walking right in." Now, I get if she was in uniform, if she had her scrubs on. Now, I know that if you go for this kind of stuff, I know that you're supposed to have scrubs on. Now, if she got a call, she's going to go all the way home, get dressed, do all that, and then go out to her thing? No, she has to go right to her. Now, again, I don't know the exact times, but this brings it, it's not a privilege, it's a right. It's a right to be able to, that you're a worker and you're in your uniform and you're working and you're in between jobs and stuff, for you to use that right to go inside first. Not for you to wake up one day on your day off, or you don't have to work for 7 hours or whatever. Nobody knows if you have to work that day. And all of a sudden you get dressed, get dolled up, have makeup on, put your tag on just for you to walk into the store as a privilege, thinking because I'm a PSW. That's what she did. That's exactly what she did. And not to, like, again, I don't know why this is why it's pushed me, and I'm not like, I've never talked about anything to do with COVID for the whole time, and many times I could have turned on the camera many times without even my lighting being around. But it's a right for you to be in that field, to have that tag, to be able to go into a store, for your right to be that, not a privilege for you to wake up and you need to go grocery shopping, so you decide to get dressed, dolled up, and then put on your tag just so you can walk past a whole 25 people that are waiting in line to go inside. If you had your scrubs on and you were working that day, walk on in. I wouldn't even have said a freaking word. I wouldn't even said a word. And I thought about it to say something, because I thought she has to do something, but I thought, how am I going to ask this to know for sure how she feels about it? So I asked if she worked there, and she instantly put up her tag and said, "I'm a PSW," and I just started laughing, because I'm like, "Oh, and that's why?" She's like, "Yeah," and I was like, okay, thinking, I didn't say any more because I wanted to put this on a video, and I'm glad that triggered me to put on this video, because I'm back, and again, I've had my lighting, I just got my lighting and stuff, I'm going to set up the studio, so I'm glad that pushed me to turn on this camera to talk about that, because we all have rights to do something, we all have, and some things are a privilege. It's like, if your kid gets a phone from you or something, gets used, that's a privilege. It's not a right to have their phone. It's a right for her to be working and have her scrubs on and have her scrub pants on and have the tag on, and for her to go grocery shopping and grab her food. Repeat again, not for her to wake up on her day off something and dress normally in a dress, makeup on, lipstick on, and then put on your tag and say, well, just because I have this tag and I work as a PSW, I could just put it on anytime I want and walk there and go inside. Just because you're lazy enough to not be like, oh, I don't work today, so I should act like a civilian. I should act like a human being and act like a person, not for like people that are like 60 something years old or 70 something years old waiting in the heat outside I didn't go to her going, oh my god, I was so hot and waiting outside, so I got to see. No, 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 no. I was standing in the shade the whole time, and I didn't care whether it was sunny or not. I saw this girl literally walk from her car, and I saw a tag on her. And I literally saw her walk from her car right to the front door, wait for her to get let in. She gets let in. And again, my first thought was, okay, she has something to do with something. But then I was like, but she's in a dress. She's in regular clothes. She's in a dress. So I was like, I gave it a moment. And that was the result. I asked her if she worked here. She instantly put up her tag and said, I'm a PSW. And I wasn't asking for you to show me and say, well, I don't work here, I work as a PSW. I just wanted you to be like, no, I don't work here. And I would have been like, oh, well, how'd you, I would have continued with it. Why do you get to go in? And then she would have finally said, well, I'm a PSW. But that wasn't the case. It didn't take that long. It was instantly where she was like using it as a privilege. Like, I'm a PSW. And cops, I'm police, I'm a cop. Even cops do it, or people do it out of uniform. Well, I'm this and I'm that. The only ones that truly, a cop can react if they have their gun and stuff, and I'm not saying that, and firemen do that out of uniform, volunteer firefighters. If she's a PSW and she goes around to help, like there's a guy that lives downstairs and he has PSW comes here, but she's in uniform. Every single time. She doesn't come in her regular clothes, not once. I've been here over 2 years. And I've seen it with my grandma. Not once. I was there for 3 years. Not once did they come out without their uniform. And I know about them. I've had good friends that were PSWs, and I've hung out with them before they've gone to work. 2 hours before. So no, they weren't in regular clothes. They were in their scrubs. So that's why it's my theory, and I swear that I feel that's fully true. That's what she did. Woke up today and did that. And used it as a privilege, like I'm allowed to because I'm a PSW, and not like, oh, it's my right to use this when I'm working. Not just because you are that. So just because you are a cop doesn't mean you can do whatever you want. Just because you are something doesn't mean you can do whatever you want because you are that person. You have to use it as a right when you're in that moment, when you're in that time, and right. Not putting a nice flower dress on, putting makeup on, putting lipstick on, and then putting on your tag and saying, I'm going to walk in front of, there was 30 people, there was 25 people, and they were still stacking up with people lining up to get in Metro. All these people had to wait. I waited 10 minutes alone. Imagine the girl just pulls up like, oh, look at all these people like this. You know what I mean? I can just imagine what's going through her head, and that's why I asked that, and that's what the reaction got to. Was me thinking that's what was going through her head the whole time. Getting out of my car, oh, look at that lineup. I'm a PSW. What are they going to fucking say? They ain't going to say nothing because I'm a PSW. They're not going to bitch at me because I'm a PSW. And I respect that you're a PSW, and I respect that you're a nurse, and I respect of all that. But not using it as a privilege and getting up in the morning or the afternoon and putting on your dress and using it as that. Using it for it. It's like you're using something for that. You're not doing it because you have the right to in the moment. I really, truly hope you understand, or somebody gets what I'm saying or understands, because I'm truly not putting any nurse or any PSW down. I'm saying for the right of this pandemic, for this bullshit that's going around, and you're using your rules, you're using your right as you're taking advantage of it. Like she was glowing. Like I swear, like now I see it more like she was glowing, like tag, I can go in. Ask you, hey, do you work here? No, I'm a PSW. I just started laughing. Like I was laughing. I had nothing else to say. Didn't want to make her look silly, and I was just started laughing because I was like, that's why. She's like, yeah. And I could have sat there and argued about what I just vented about and what I just talked about. I could have sat there and argued the whole time. And I probably should have, because the only reason I didn't, because I didn't want her to think this is why I shouldn't. This is the one thing. I think they think. It's the worst fucking thing to do. I think they think because it can hold you off from a lot of things. And she thought that I was bitching because I couldn't get in. No, I was at the fucking front of the line, for fuck's sakes. I didn't give a shit. I was about to go in. She just went boom right in front of me. And I was curious. I was curious of why. And I know she had a tag, and I was curious. And again, I waited a few minutes. She even walked around a bit, and I waited. I had to think about it. I had to think about like what to say, and I didn't want to because she probably did have the right to do something, but what I saw and what she used it as a privilege. Like, I can do whatever I want because I'm a PSW. I can have the next 3 days off as a PSW. I can have the next 3 days off. I could be on vacation. I can wake up any of those days on my vacation and put on my tag and walk in that fucking store anytime I want. No, it shouldn't happen that way. It shouldn't work that way. Use it as your right if you're dressed up and stuff. Use it because you're working. You're doing something. You're busy. You're in your field. So if you have to go do something, you can go in the store. You can instantly have to rush to leave or whatever. Not fucking waking up from your beauty sleep and using it as a privilege. I'm like passionate about life, man, and that frustrates me. That, like, I've been in that. I mean, probably years ago, I probably like we're all judgmental. We're all human. We're all going to be this way. But it's not. I mean, it's not right. Use your right as a right, not as a privilege, man. Some things are privileges, and use it as a privilege. That one, for one, is not a privilege. That is not just something to wake up to. And as people are already waiting, and they've been there for 20 minutes or longer, and this fucking girl struts in there, glowing, and in her dress, sandals. She had no fucking shoes on, none. She had fucking a dress. Oh my god. And correct me, man, if there's somebody out there, and they correct me if I'm wrong, but I highly, highly doubt that, and somebody's going to be like, well, it's because they're a nurse worker, and I get that. I do. I really, truly do. I respect firemen. I respect medical workers. I do, for the jobs that they do and they have to do. I've seen it firsthand. I've seen it in front of my face. My grandma, a couple friends growing up, I've seen it personally firsthand, and I've become friends with most of them. But for someone to push the right that far, man. look what I come back to, eh? Like a huge event. But I don't give a shit, man. That's how I'm gonna be. That's how I'm gonna be. And I'm sorry if I'm like moving. It's fucking hot. It's gonna be hot because there's light. I'll have to figure that out, and I have to put a fucking fan in front of me. But yeah, welcome back to my channel. I hope everything's going good. I hope quarantine and all that stuff was fun. I was working for a good 2 to 3 months. This was just in the middle of the pandemic. I was working for a dispensing company, like a soap. Before I get into that, like that was yeah. So that's how I felt about that. So if anybody has anything to say, anything on that, I feel that's my theory. That's how she used it, and I don't think how she used it, that tag, was not right. It was a privilege. She was using it as a privilege. It wasn't a right. It wasn't like, it's my right to do this. No, that's not what I saw, and I feel that something pushed me towards to go find out, and maybe that's what pushed me to. I swear to God, probably that's what pushed me to put on this video and invent about something and get shit off my chest about that, and to push me to push record. I'm already 18 minutes in, and I know probably a lot of you aren't going to be listening 20 minutes of this, and if you do, thank you. If you've made it this far and you actually listened to the whole video, I appreciate it. Like, holy shit, I appreciate it. But I'm going to use the last minute or so to say, yeah, I forget what I was talking about before I was saying that. But yeah, I'm getting back into it. It's been a while since I've done this, and I'm glad this pushed me to turn on the camera. You'll see more of me more lately. But before I was working and stuff like that, 3 months ago, I was working for a soap dispensary place, and during this pandemic, I don't want to get into the story right now, but I will eventually when I get back on the camera. But I was working there, and then the pandemic hit, and then something happened. I was like, my sinuses or whatever, but I wasn't allowed at work for 2 weeks, so I was laid off for 2 weeks. And then there was a whole bunch of stress. We were busy as hell, man, because they were doing soap dispensers and sanitizing stuff. That's here in my city. Yeah, so that happened. I was off, and then everything's going good, working hard. I was trained on everything. Like, it wasn't that they liked me for that reason. It was just, it came down to the fact again where I had a tooth infection and I was home for a couple of days. And then it dragged on. Everything was still going good. Emails were good. They were asking me when I was coming back. And then it came down to the last day where I changed my mind on coming back because it started to hurt again. And then the temp service emailed me back and said not to return for some odd reason. And then they wouldn't explain anymore. The emails were saying what they were saying. Explaining myself, they said everything was good. It's weird that when I wasn't actually sick, they sent me home for 14 days. Like, I wasn't really sick. I have sinus issues. I don't know if you can hear the roughness, but that's it. I have sinus infections. And one day I just woke up freaked out about it because I didn't want to get in trouble at work because we were in a sanitizing place or whatever. So I was sent home. I wasn't even sick and they sent me home for 2 weeks. This time I actually was not feeling well and I had the tooth infection and then I don't go back to work. But that's another full story that I can tell. And again, if it wasn't for that, I probably wouldn't be in the position right now. I mean, I wouldn't have any of the stuff that I have. And again, that's another story that I can tell. But I wouldn't have any of the stuff that if I kept working there. I just know myself that well. I know myself so well that I know that it wouldn't have worked out the way it did now if I kept working there. So it wasn't like it was. I take spiritually. I live spiritually, and I take things meant to be. And I really feel to believe, and it's taken a while to like come to a closure with it. Is that I feel that it was like meant to be because I wouldn't. I truly wouldn't. It's another story. I'm gonna leave it at that. I might turn on the camera soon again. I'm going away for a few days. I know that for sure. Yeah. So thanks for listening. I know it's a long fucking time. Use it bits by bits, and I hope you understand my theory on that and understood it and understood what I was fully saying, and you don't twist my words and take it as I was a full hate on it. It was just something that I didn't feel that was right. And then I also wanted to come back and say hello and turn on the camera, and yeah. So I'm going to leave it at that. I'm going to go on with my day, and I'm going to let I was just watching the time on the thing. Yeah. So we'll see you guys soon, hopefully, in the next day or so, maybe a little bit longer, but I know I will be back. I'll be back. My mind's going everywhere because it's been a while since I turned on the camera, but I will be back. So thanks for watching. Like, subscribe. Please subscribe to the channel too if you want to see more videos. Like it. Don't forget, just go over there, head over there, like it down there somewhere. Down below there, like it, and the subscribe button's over here somewhere, or over there, wherever the hell it is. Go click on them. So much love to everybody. Keep that head up. Keep smiling. Peace out.